Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. And mainly, thank you, Rhonda, for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you, Pavel?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much. We had a short talk just before we begin now, and you're such an amazing person. But it's so crazy because you're doing this interview on your phone, not because not because you decided to do it on your phone, but because you don't own a laptop. How
It's not
crazy
how I'm
is this?
rolling, not how I'm rolling.
Talking about traveling light and being a nomad, like crazy. Like, can you show to the camera all your luggage, please? Yeah, for everybody listening, it's just a backpack.
That's my house.
This is crazy. How long you been traveling only with a backpack?
2016 was when we went global. So 2016.
So was it? Okay, almost 6 years, almost.
Yeah, maybe? In the sixth year. Yeah, in the sixth year of backpacking.
Wow. Okay. And would you mind me asking how old are you now?
I'm 60 and sassy.
So it's so crazy because when you talk about travel nomad, somebody who doesn't have a destination, somebody who goes here and there without a sometimes without a certain plan. When we talk about nomads, we usually think about people in their 20s, but
Absolutely.
you were 50 and something when you started doing that. And I was like, why? Why, Rhonda?
I don't know what everybody's waiting for, actually. I think a lot of people my age and older, life just surprises us. Life surprises a lot of people, and a lot of people end up with a sense of regret because they don't take off and do what they feel drawn by their heart to do. And I'm all about living your dreams, and in order to live your dreams, sometimes you have to let go of figuring out exactly how you're going to do that, letting go of the fear and just kind of like leaning in and letting your spirit lead you. And so that's what we did.
But did something happen? You say we did because with your husband, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes the way we take life in that way is because something happened. Did something happen to you, or you just like, all right, you know what? Enough. I'm just going to do it.
Well, it was a combination of things, because definitely the butterfly in me had been wanting, to see the world for a long, long time. But I was a mom, raised my kids. My kids had become adults. So that happened. They were independent adults, and they had already been moved out of the house for a couple of years at that point. I had been a caregiver for my mother with Alzheimer's, and she lived in our home with us for 5 years. And then the care got beyond our ability to take care of her. So I moved her into a facility, and she had been there for like a year and a half or so. And then it was just kind of like, it felt like the universe just sort of cracked open my head and said, you haven't figured out how, but go ahead and, and do it. Because I'm not a wealthy person. It was really about trusting and, what I have to do, what I have to offer the world. I could figure it out as I went, kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's another thing that people say. Like, you don't need to have everything figured out. Just start and figure it out on the way.
Absolutely.
So where were you living at that point?
Orlando, Florida. It's where I raised my kids. Lived most of my life in Orlando, Florida.
So did you sell everything and then just?
Yeah, downsized from 4,000 square feet down to 4,000 square feet to 2,200 square feet to a little bitty house, then to a bus, and lived in a bus for 3 years.
What?
And then, lived in this little transport caravan, kind of a bus, and boondocked, basically. I don't know if you know the term boondocked, but lived around the U.S., rolled all around the country for like 3 years, and then put on backpacks and went abroad.
So hold on, like okay, like a minivan, and it was yours, and you were sleeping on the back of it. Is that what you mean?
So not a minivan, but the kind of, like if you're at the airport and the hotel sends a van to
like
pick you up.
Shuttle bus.
Like a shuttle bus. A man had taken an old shuttle bus and he had converted it into a camper, because a potty is the big thing, right? He installed a bathroom, and we just tore out the end. We got it really cheap. It was an old diesel. We paid like $4,500 for it, and ripped the inside out and redecorated the inside and built a bed up on stilts. My girlfriend and I, out of, pull out the power tools and lived in the bus. It's called the Big Boy. We called it Big Boy living.
Okay, so let me think that out. So you had a big house, then you had a smaller house. Then did you sell that house and you went to the bus?
Sold the smallest, didn't sell the smallest house and go into the bus. Initially went into the bus and left the house with a rental agent and hoped that he would rent it. And then it was rented for a few years and we collected that rental income. And then when it was time to go abroad, made the decision just to sell the house to not have to worry about it.
Okay. So first you said like, okay, I want to travel, I want to explore things. But first you decided to go local. So that's why you got the bus and you started traveling around. Then 3 years you said, okay, I've seen enough. I want to see the world.
Yep.
Okay. And where are you now?
Montenegro. Lovely Montenegro.
That is so crazy, because when I asked you where you're now, I was kind of expecting to see, I'm in Thailand. I don't know, Bali or something like that. But it's like, all right, I'm in Montenegro.
Thailand just opened their borders a bit yesterday, huh? It's COVID's a reality for global travelers also. And really the Balkans was a good place for us to shelter because we could stay safe here and live our pedestrian lifestyle and eat outdoors a lot and that kind of thing. Albania gave us vaccinations, but the COVID border control, that's real, right? And we'll go back to Asia again. We have quite a bit of experience in Asia. We will probably overwinter in Turkey. We're still kind of thinking that through. We don't plan very far ahead typically.
Yeah, and with this pandemic, to be fair, it's a bit difficult to plan. I was supposed to go to Latvia next week for a press trip to do some videos there, but it's just they just tighten up the restrictions, so it's very difficult.
Sorry,
I'm like a nomad myself. Like, I'm gonna go. No, actually, no, new plan. Let's go. But speaking about the Balkans, I'm so interested to talk to people that are from, I don't know, different countries, but like USA or Canada or Australia, and they go to the Balkans. And I love that because Balkans have a lot to offer. They're just not that popular. And speaking of that, you have a house in Bulgaria.
Yes.
Which shocked me a lot. I'm thinking, let's do a different.
Shocked me a lot too. Sorry. I didn't see it coming.
I was thinking, let's do a different episode on that because I'm sure we can talk about that. But quickly, why?
Well, the Balkans, like part of our international travel lifestyle has been work trade kinds of things. If you're familiar with woofing and workawaying, where you give some of your time and help and they provide food and shelter for you, that kind of thing. So we got drawn to the Balkans because there was a lady that was building out of mud and straw. And I'm real interested in all kinds of sustainability and all that kind of stuff. So that was intriguing. And that's what drew us to the Balkans. And then this village just kind of connected with us. And so we just sort of followed. And like, if it happens easily, then maybe we'll have a little base camp and have a place where, where we can leave stuff and make friends and rest once in a while, really, like park yourself and rest for a little bit.
Yeah, what was even crazier is that this village is not so far from my hometown.
I couldn't believe that. Dobro.
I couldn't believe that as well. Okay, so you said when you were doing the shuttle bus, you said it was with your friend, but now you have a husband. So when did you meet your husband?
This is all the same person. This is my Ryan that we're talking about.
Oh, is it?
And my Ryan and I, we've been together for 16 years now. So we've been together for a long time. And but he's my musician.
Is he up for the experience from the very beginning, or you needed to convince him a bit?
He blew my mind. He totally blew my mind when I said that I thought that when the epiphany kind of hit me this one weekend, when the epiphany hit me that we should just go, like we should just like wing it, And he was like, okay, baby, whatever you think. And he's really amazing like that. He's really, we travel really well together, and we follow each other's lead, and it's wonderful. I'm very lucky. I'm very, very, very lucky in that way.
It's good to have a supporting half in these things.
Yeah.
All right.
And then sees it all as fun, and it's rough sometimes and it's challenging, but it's all fun. It's all great adventure. And he embraces that too. He loves the world. He loves the world's people.
Yeah. Okay. But one of the biggest questions is, how do you make your money when you're changing these countries so often? How?
Yeah. So there's a lot of answers to that question, because I've created multiple trickle income streams, a variety of them. And it would take quite a bit of time actually to explain them all to you. And some months,
another episode.
That's up to you. But some months I bring in more than we spend, and some months we spend more than I bring in. It varies. Yeah,
it's I understand it varies, because you're in a way like a freelancer. Freelancer is it's not a paycheck that here is your salary. But can you just tell me what sources you've got for income?
Yeah, I'll give you a quick list. So I've got my Patreon. People can find me on Patreon. I'm Rambling Rhonda on Patreon. And I have a postcard club through there. I teach English. I do conversational English coaching. I do sourcing for some retailers in the States, and I help connect them to artisans in various countries. I just did a connection the other day with some people in Nepal who make knit wool products from spending time in Nepal, and connected them with a shop in Montana that I worked at when we were in Montana. I'm a stock photographer. What else do I do? I've published my own travel book. I get some income from that. It was also, I did it all on my phone and self-published it. It's an ebook. I do consulting for interior decorating kinds of things. I had a home staging business for 10 years in Florida. I help people think through how to arrange their room or what kind of furniture, working from photographs. I do some English editing and copywriting, that kind of thing. Just a variety of skills I have. Sometimes I trade. If we're someplace, sometimes I trade for food and lodging, and I help people with their internet image and their social media challenges and that kind of thing. So I'm really curious about what you do too, because I think I can learn a lot from you, and that's exciting to me.
Yeah, that could be a whole lot of another episode as well. I also do a lot of things, because I think you should not be putting all your eggs in one basket. You should have at least, like other baskets, even if they're small baskets, it's still something, but just spread them around. And we're very similar. But I will keep my stuff for I'm serious. Let's do an episode about how you make your money while you're traveling. Let's do it like that. And probably I'll be really keen on to learn more about Bulgaria. So that will be different episodes. Okay. Let's move from that. But what about stories? Can you tell me stories or something shocking that happened to you throughout all these years traveling? Is there something? There must be something.
Well, I guess I'll go back to Nepal, because I think one of the most exciting adventures was the chat. So we had a friend that we made that didn't speak very much English, that invited us to go on a motorcycle ride. And Ryan grew up on the back of a motorcycle, so he's very comfortable on a motorcycle. They scare me to death. So we went on this motorcycle adventure, and I brought some water and peanuts because I thought it was for the afternoon, but we were actually gone for like 2.5 days. We went through not high up in the Himalayas, but high enough up where the drops were sheer down. We crossed like rivers and rocks, and it was just wild and crazy. An amazing, amazing experience. Explored these caves, all kinds of things. But one of the most dramatic parts of it for me was because I love to take pictures and I post every day on my Instagram story, and I was videoing from the back of the motorcycle, all this scenery, and I had a little vest pocket, and the phone fell out of my vest pocket and got lost. And inside the phone was also our plastic, meaning my
cards?
Sources, money sources, and the little bit of cash, and all of that was just like over the side of the mountain, and we never did find it again. and we had a really hard time keeping up with the rest of the motorcyclists. So it led to quite of an adventure of being without cash, without plastic. Fortunately, our passports were back at the room, and having to rely on friendship and hospitality to help us through that, and which worked out beautifully. And we've got really, really solid friends and contacts in Bhaktapur, Nepal. Altogether, we spent like 4 months in Nepal. But that was an exciting adventure on a lot of different levels. And I think it comes to mind because I don't have the photographs, because the photographs fell over the side of the mountain. But they were like some of the best I've ever had, because we ended up in this cave with all of these people and candles. And it was a major Hindu festival that we had no idea we were going to. Incredible. So much fun.
Too bad. Yeah, it's always bad when you lose things like that, especially if you have your credit cards there and your cash. I mean,
yeah. Well, I keep my stuff in the cloud now, and I'm really good at money transfer now.
That was an experience. That was a learning curve.
Yeah.
That story leads me to a different question, which is probably that's the last question I have. But what challenges do you face as a nomad? Like what's people should be watching out for?
Well, I think that's lots of books worth of stuff, because there's a lot of learning that we've gone through. But I think mostly the biggest challenge people have is their own fear, and that their fear kind of gets in the way of them seeing the opportunities around them and opening their hearts. I think the greatest challenge for me actually is the how, like, communicating to others how to open themselves up to the world. So it's not the answer that you're looking for, because I'm just really good at this now, really comfortable with being a nomad. It's really easy. It's a very simple, very laid back, very high quality of life lifestyle. Yeah. It took some learning to get there, and that's why I coach other nomads to help them learn how to. And not like if you had plenty of money, it'd be different, but we're on a really tight budget. We rarely go over $1,500 a month for both of us.
Wow.
US dollar. And have been doing that for years, So this lady that I coached the other day, she said, can I travel around the world for $1,000 a month? And I'm like, I don't know if you can, but I can. And I know I can because I have been,
Okay, so there is no particular challenge for you, but that you're facing. Well, now it seems like you're very good now. You're very good in doing that.
But it's easy. Mm-hmm.
How did you did you start with that budget at the beginning, or was it a goal to shrink it to that budget? Or I don't know, at the beginning, what was the thing that you struggled with the most? And it took you
fear. I struggle with fear the most. I struggle with fear the most because we have become very conditioned in our societies to understand all the things that can go wrong. And especially like with healthcare in America and that kind of thing, those kind of things can be really scary. So learning to be more relaxed. I very well know that a penny saved is a penny earned. And when you can tell yourself on the inside that you can do something instead of focusing on what you can't do. Oh, I could never stay there. Oh, I could never do that. If you can really narrow it down to what you really need, as opposed to what you want or what you think you need, learning how to live with an attitude of gratitude kind of thing. Sounds corny. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It doesn't sound cool. I mean, it doesn't sound corny for me because I understand it. I understand it myself. It's not just something that I heard, but I understand it. So you think that the nomad lifestyle taught you about these things? Is that what you say?
I think there were some things that I already understood quite a bit from my childhood, and carried with me. I think that's what really gave me the confidence to set out in these ways. I was kind of trusting in my own intuition. I had been a camp counselor. I did a lot of camping with my kids. I was comfortable with the outdoors. I traveled quite a bit in my early 20s as a backpacker, a freewheeling backpacker in Europe in my early 20s. I'd moved to Europe at 23 by myself. I'd already done some kind of adventurous things. But the nomad life's not hard at all for us. It's like really, really easy, other than feeling isolated and lonely because of the pandemic. Because usually every day I meet people and talk to people, but I'm being really careful like that now. You know, I just want to be really conscientious. I'm the guest here, you know?
Yeah, I understand. Okay, well, I think that was a really great talk. Is there anything that you think we missed, but it's worth being in the episode about being a travel nomad?
Well, I guess mostly I just want people to know that I'm happy to help others if they're interested in wanting to know more. And they can find me on Instagram. I'm Rhonda with an H recreates, Rhonda recreates on Instagram. And I'm Rambling Rhonda on Patreon. And I love connecting with people, and I love helping people if I can. That's it.
Well said. Thanks so much, Rhonda, for joining us for this episode. I wish you a fantastic day.
You too. Dobry den. Ciao.